Morning. As you can see, this is not New York City. No siree. I'm in Detroit in a conference center at the Somerset Inn, where you can see lovely gardens behind me, and they are expecting rain. And though we had minor unhealthy air, it was nothing like New York City experienced. When I saw that orange sky and the sun ablaze, I was scared. I thought the apocalypse. Didn't see the 4 horsemen, but did we have to? We should have been scared. We've had 2 environmental disasters this week. One, well, I guess both of our own choosing, because we haven't decided on another way of life. And that's sad. We've got the fires out of control in Nova Scotia, and the winds are bringing them down to the lower 48. And the air is so unhealthy here that kids are not going to school. And those who can afford to stay home and not work, though everyone should be staying home and indoors and not working, because this is weather that chews up your lungs. But unfortunately, not everyone can stay in. And then there are those who don't even think that it is an apocalyptic weather, that the extremes of healthy air and pollutants, they're not going to get them. They can afford to eat al fresco, just like they always did, as if nothing had changed. And yet everything has changed. This is going to be the first year of a lot of worse years. The first year where uncontrolled fires will carry pollutants with them, and they will disperse over the lower 48. And it's not unhealthy, not only for sensitive groups to go out, but for anyone to be outdoors in this weather, because it is equivalent to smoking several packs of cigarettes a day. COVID was bad enough on our lungs. This is worse. And as you can see, because I am prepared to go back home to New York City, I've got my KN95 on me, ready for when I disembark in the city. And our other ecological disaster? Well, thanks to Vladimir Putin and in his unceasing war on the Ukrainian people, he blew up the dam that protects KHERSON, and it protects a lot of the breadbasket of the Ukraine. Shame on the person and shame on the world for standing by and letting this happen. Worse, an ammonia pipeline has been blown up also, and that, in conjunction with the dam that shielded the Kherson residents from flooding. Now Crimea has no clean water to drink either. And the Crimeans are fleeing Crimea for the only land bridge they've got, which is going back into Russia. And they can't get there from here either. So they're stranded on the bridge. People who are fleeing the rising waters of the dam that's been broken, they're being shot at by the Russians. This is someone who wants to be another Hitler, wants to claim that he can out-murder the murderer and out-murder Stalin. Stalin claimed 4 million lives in Ukraine alone, 22 million lives during World War II in his own country. I guess this is something that an evil person aspires to, while the rest of us look on in horror and know for sure in our heart of hearts that what happens in Ukraine or what happens in Nova Scotia or what happens anywhere in the world, it doesn't stay in that part of the world. It affects all of us. It's going to be a lot cheaper to provide air purifiers for everyone in the United States than it is to treat the magnitude of the pollutants that have gotten into people's lungs. The asthma that will follow, the emphysema that will follow, the congestive heart failure that may follow. So we've got all these physical tragedies compounded with mental tragedies, and what are our leaders doing? They're not talking about a War Production Act that would give us the emergency powers we need to empower renewable energy and empower it on a grand scale. Industries will make trillions when they do the math and they actually segue into renewables. I used to wonder, what's Warren doing? Buying up all of that Occidental petroleum. I knew he wasn't going to go into the oil business. That's not his style. He and Charlie buy America. They care about Americans. They want American business to survive. So he's been purchasing Occidental petroleum. And finally, in The Economist this week, I got the reveal. Bill Gates has invested in a nascent industry that absolutely sequesters carbon. It buries it. And it doesn't bury it so that we can now extract more fossil fuels. No, it buries that carbon permanently so that it is no longer in the atmosphere. Warren thinks it'll be a $1 trillion business, and everyone's going to want that technology because we can't afford soft power. We need real power to get rid of CO2. And you forget the couple of scientists who say, oh, well, maybe we can just block the sun. I don't think so. We got ways on Earth for us to utilize blocking the sun effectively. We've got new crops to develop. We've got water to reclaim. And we've got clean air to reclaim. Between the PFAS chemicals and the fires from Canada, there's a lot for us to do. There's no reason not to have the jobs in sight to clean up the mess that we have made as a civilization. Man can go extinct. We can be nihilistic. It's happened before. The trick will be, can we use our smarts and get us out of the mess we've created? It will be nothing short of heroic to find the industries that will help us in the short, medium, and long term. Lord knows we need good education. We can't afford people to be left behind now. We can't afford for people not to be thinking analytically. and understanding their world, because between social media and the AI to come, anything at any time can be presented to us as real. And for those of us who are astute, will know it's a fake. But others will not be so discerning. And that's where the problems arise. We need Wi-Fi connections for everyone. We're going to have bad weather days, whether it's 90-degree plus weather, whether the air is so unhealthy because of forest fires. Folks are going to need to be inside and learn remotely. To learn remotely, everyone needs Wi-Fi connections. The faster we link up our country, the better it is for our kids and our citizens. I'm here in Detroit, and my mode of transportation is either I rent a car or I call Uber. To get to the airport, I'm calling Uber. So now it makes you wonder. For folks who need a job, and I remember in 2019 when we had a job fair here, people could get jobs, but then they had no way of getting to those jobs. And it looks like in 2023, not much has changed on that front. The superhighways that were here before, they're still here, and they got bigger. They don't call Detroit Motor City for nothing. It's Motor City because everyone's on the road. I know. I drove 200 miles probably back and forth between Troy, Michigan, and East Lansing to visit relatives. One of the things that I did find out that now, with Governor Whitmer in charge and a totally Democratic House and Senate, they're passing laws to make guns safer in this state. And I say kudos, because every state should follow. No matter who I talk to, no matter what their political thinking, nobody wants guns in their cities. Nobody wants massacres. Nobody wants kids to see death. And what else are they doing in these cities in Michigan? Well, philanthropic folks are buying up properties and creating community centers and having special classes for 8 and 9-year-olds, underprivileged kids, and teaching them civil skills, skills for talking to people, and mentoring them for apprenticeships, finding out what do they think, what do they think they'd like to do with their lives, and then hooking them up with the right people who can help them in life. Well, that's far better than letting children just languish on the streets. Here, somebody is taking the time to educate young people, young poor people, and give them the skills they need to succeed in life. That's a good thing. So, my feeling is, sure, this was an apocalyptic week. If we're smart, and I'm not so sure we are, our leaders will take heart, and they'll decide that climate and addressing climate change and climate mitigation, it's an emergency. It's an emergency whose time has come, and we need that War Production Act, and we need to put everyone to work. We got a lot of 50-year-olds with tremendous expertise. And because of gender discrimination and ageism discrimination, they're not working. And they deserve to work to help propel our world forward. Because remember, the baby boomers are indeed getting older. The pre-boomers like me, we're getting older too. And somebody's got to learn from us. And somebody's got to take the mantle. And it should be our kids and our grandkids. Because I think after speaking with all of them, they've got the right idea. When you talk religion to them, you're talking doing good. And you're talking charity and justice and mercy. You're talking caring about human beings and having some empathy. That gives me hope for the future. And what else gives me hope is that I know that our kids are educated and they've got the expertise we need to start the work that's needed for us to say, okay, this was an apocalyptic moment, but it was a turning point. It was a turning point for humanity where we realize we got to start cooperating with each other and stop the destruction. So, I'm ending on a hopeful note. I leave Detroit today, go back to New York City. Not exactly to a humdrum life. I have a lot of adventures left in me. And whatever I see, hey, I'll share with you. So have a blessed day, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.